G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. I'm just going to go on another bushwalk. I've selected another track today. I'm in Northmead in my LGA, and I'm going to go on a walk to the Northmead Dam, or the North Rocks Dam. It's known by a couple of names. Haven't done this track before, haven't done this walk before, but I'm looking forward to discovering new paths, new walkways. I'll just take this little path down to the waterway just to see what's happening. And it's all about taking adventure, having adventure in your life, and discovering the many beautiful gifts that we all have around us. Here we are. How beautiful is this? What I want to do today is take you through a book summary. A book summary entitled How to Fail by Elizabeth Day. I won't go across, but I'll just keep on walking the other way. But it's amazing how we can have these beautiful waterways, these beautiful bushlands, these forests within walking distance of many homes here in suburban Sydney. And it's a great opportunity. I must admit that if it wasn't for COVID, if it wasn't for lockdown, I wouldn't have discovered any of these places within my neighbourhood. Even though that I've lived here for 40 years, I've never had a desire or never had a reason to explore my own backyard, and I've spent more time going to other places. So it just goes to show there's a lot to learn, there's a lot to pick up by just paying a little bit more attention and making the most of what we've got. Anyway, let's continue our little chat and discover a little bit more about this book, How to Fail by Elizabeth Day. And she kicks off her book with a very provocative and a very, I guess, profound statement where she basically calls us to action and says that we mustn't, and listen to this one here because this is an absolute cracker. It's an absolute beauty. She says, don't outsource yourself, your identity, to a bunch of strangers who don't know you. Never cede control of your life to others. There's a big lesson there. How many people do we know, and even ourselves, through our lifetimes? How many times have we been doormats to managers, to different people? And the message here from Elizabeth Day is very, very clear, very, very strong. Never cede control of your life to anyone else. Because what the author says is that we mustn't fear failure. We mustn't fear taking the path and seeing where it leads us. Because each and every one of us have a different life, a different path to take. And sometimes if we follow other people's paths, it may not lead us to the destination that suits us. So what Elizabeth is saying is that we need to basically be accountable and responsible for our own decisions, our own desires, and our own outcomes. So what she's saying is that we shouldn't cede control of our destiny, of our lives to others, else we end up in a place which is not where we want to be. So learn how to fail, embrace failure, and learn from failure. transform lessons from failure into empowerment is her main call for action and the purpose of this book. So the first formal point to come out of this book from the author is where she basically says that we've got phases in our lives where we can grow and develop and learn. And in your 20s, according to the author, and I guess a lot of us understand this, in your 20s is a great time in life to make mistakes and learn what you really, really want in life. So life is broken into phases, and what the author is saying is that everybody gets an opportunity to grow and develop and make their mistakes. And what she's saying is that usually the best time to grow, experiment and make some of those life mistakes is in your 20s, because you can recover. You can learn from them. They can become timely sort of lessons that you can use for later in life. So what the author goes on to say here is that at school we failed tests. I just stepped in a little puddle of mud there and a puddle of water. So just goes to show if we're not looking where we're going, we could get ankle deep in mud. So let me get back to the point that I was trying to make. At school, we failed tests, which taught us that we needed to study more and be more prepared. You don't fail a test and all of a sudden use that to define you for the rest of your life. The smart people use it as a lesson to say, well, I failed that test, and the reason why I failed it was that I wasn't prepared, I hadn't studied enough, but next time round I will do more work and be more prepared to deliver a better outcome. So in our lives, what the author is saying is that we all need wake-up calls to prepare us for the realities of life, which come to us at adulthood. And I guess for most of us who have lived quite a few years, and once you hit your 60s and become a grandparent, you've seen the full spectrum, or close to the full spectrum of life, with its ups and downs, with its rewards and its punishments and everything else that comes with quota. We all get a chance to have some good times and some average times and some sad times. But that's part of growing up, that's part of living. And we all need, I guess, wake-up calls to understand the harshness and realities of life, and also the importance of not rushing life, according to the author. It's important not to rush life, to take it step by step and make the most of the journey. So it's important to learn, and this is a very, very important point, what you really want, and not to feel dejected if you're not getting it. Because what you want in life could be very different to what your parents want from you, your partner wants from you, your siblings want from you, your relatives want from you, and everybody else. Now, each of us need to identify and to work out what we want from our lives, and it's our accountability, our responsibility to chase it and to get it done. So the next formal point to come out of this book, the second point to come out of this book, is where the author implores us and tells us that we need to learn a lot about ourselves when we fail at various points throughout our lives. And that's why failing at love when you're young is something that can help prepare us for the important lessons that we need to learn. Because, as we said, failure is a part of our growth and development. and it's just a bend in the road and never the end, as long as we use the lessons that we have in life to grow and develop and hone exactly who we are and learn more about who we are than how we were before. So what the author then goes on to say, and it's a great point, is that we need to be very selective with who we date and who we marry. Look, I've mentioned a lot of these points in the past, and some people get really offended by, suggesting that love, or searching for a partner is a purposeful activity. Some people seem to think that you just drift and fall into love with the right person. But the author here, to her credit, reminds us that we need to be very selective with who we date and who we marry, else we end up like these fallen timbers here. Everybody, and I've got to make this point, everybody starts off deeply in love with their partner. Everybody starts off with a perfect relationship. But, 5 or 6 years into the relationship, issues, and a lot of those issues were, could easily been seen if people had their eyes open, start to materialise, and then, a disaster eventuates. So this is why the author says that, the person who you choose to marry and the person who you choose to date needs to be very selective, because what happens is marriage and dating are the biggest decisions you ever make in your life. Because once you decide to date somebody, chances are that dating relationship may end up into a permanent relationship. So you're going to make sure, and I've said on another vlog that I got advice from a Greek uncle of a friend of mine years ago, Mr. Michalis, or Kyrios Michalis. Mr. Michalis, Paleologos, a very smart man, and he said, that the woman that you choose to date needs to be a person who you would consider marrying in the first place. If they don't tick the box initially in terms of a person who would qualify as somebody that you'd love to spend the rest of your life with, he said that it's important. It's dangerous to date just anyone and just to go out with anyone, because what happens, according to Kyrios Michalis, is that you get to a point where you get used to each other, you start feeling sorry for your partner, and you end up marrying them potentially for the wrong reasons. So Kyrios Michalis always said, date with purpose, so that if it does eventuate into a long-term relationship, at least you've got something that you can build on, as opposed to something that may cause you grief forever and a day. The author here also goes on to say that people should refrain from completing themselves with other people. If you bring somebody into your life to so-called complete you, then what the author is saying is that in itself creates a weakness in you as well. And we shouldn't be spending too much time, investing too much time. I'm just trying to think, do I cross the bridge here? Do I continue going down that way? I might just cross the bridge for now, because it does look a lot more interesting here on the other side. So what the author is saying here is that don't spend too much time and energy trying to please others. And it's important for us all to start listening and paying attention to our own desires, and to stay open and accept heartbreak if it happens along the way, and not to feel bad, not to feel terrible about heartache. So there's a track along here, there's a track going up the hill. Just wondering where I should go. There's some people up the top there, so I might go up the top there and ask them. So heartbreak is something that we're all going to experience at some point throughout our lives, and not to try and shy away from it. Anyway, let's keep on going. The third point in this book, the third formal point to come out of this book here from this author, is that just because you are successful doesn't mean that you're immune to failure. And we've seen that over the past week with our Premier, Gladys Berejiklian, who was probably the most successful and most effective of all premiers that New South Wales have had. But her success ended up becoming a target that was the seed to her failure, which is it's been quite dramatic the way it's worked out. And I guess we all hope that she doesn't have further challenges or issues that may impact her mental health and her physical health over the next few months. Jesus, it's a beautiful walk. It is truly, truly beautiful. Just goes to show what I've been missing out on over the years. So if I keep on walking up here, there's a walkway up the top, so I'm going the right direction. Don't know if I'm heading in the right direction for the dam though, but we'll soon find out. It's all about living with positive expectancy. So nobody is immune to failure, according to this author, and according to the life lessons that we've learnt. I've seen a lot of people who had absolutely everything to live for. Perfect family, perfect job, perfect life, perfect home. And yet, as my spiritual father says, it never ceases to amaze him how many times people go out of their way to destroy their perfect life. So the author also goes on to say that success and failure are not opposites. This is a really profound point, so listen on if you can. Success and failure are not opposites. You can be successful and unhappy at the same time. But you also need to know that we need to fail in order to succeed. Failure are just, as we said before, just the stepping stones in the path that we need to take to ensure success. So the other thing that we've learnt and will continue to learn is that fame comes at a cost. It comes at a cost of our well-being, of our mental, physical, relationship and spiritual well-being. And it's a warning for everybody to understand and appreciate that that there is a cost, because isolation, there are people who just love being isolated because they can't stand the media hype or being in public with people anymore, and prefer just to hibernate and become reclusive in their lifestyles. And that's not the way anybody wants to be, but sadly that's what happens when people become famous and everybody wants to know them. just like the David Bowie song about Starman, that everybody wants to know the brand that you have on your shirt. But finishing off, the author here reminds us that only you can tell if something is a success or a failure. It's not up to anybody else. It's not up to your parents, not up to your siblings, not up to your partner, your children, your boss at work, your peers at work. It's not up to anybody to tell you whether or not you're a failure or a success. It's up to you to define yourself, not up to anybody else. And I can see the dam over here. Does this take me through to the dam if I keep on going this way? Thanks, love. So I'll just keep on the path here, and kindly the lady pointed me in the right direction. So it's up to us, each and every one of us, to define our own success or failure, of course, within the context of God, as long as we're doing the things that God loves and enjoys, then we'll always be successful. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. I'm over here at Northmead, between Northmead and North Rocks, doing a walk, and I'm getting closer to the Northmead Dam. I could have gone either way. I think I could have gone down the bottom there, which would have taken me to the base of the dam, but I chose to take the high road, the road less travelled, to get a view from the top. So I look forward to coming to you again from a different location with a different message, a message of empowerment, where we can springboard off each other and become partners in each other's growth and development. So I'll just go to the lookout over here and finish off this vlog. And thank you for vicariously being part of this journey. Check out the size of this dam. I never knew that we had a dam here in Sydney or one in northwest Sydney. And I can see the young, expressive ones in our society who are probably the bottom of their class at school have been spraying the walls here with their graffiti, their expression of ugliness. But what do? You can't talk sense into people who are misguided. Anyway, thank you once again for joining me. I'll return via the path down the bottom there. There must be some steps or stairs which take us down, and I'll do another vlog for the journey back. Yassas, and we'll chat again. Bye for now.